Welcome back to Y254 TV. This is still Y in the Morning, where we get to give you good vibes, great music, great conversations. Nowadays, we don't give you music, but we give you great, amazing everything in between. But then, being on Wednesday, you know what we do. Our first segment is usually Inspiring Stories. And on Inspiring Stories, this week we are taking a different trajectory. We dive into one of the most urgent issues, or rather, one of the most compelling issues affecting young women. You know, when it's Wednesday, we get to celebrate women. We do Women Crush Wednesday, and then in turn, we also do Empowerment Cafe. And therefore, we are talking about femicide. It's not just a statistic, it's a national crisis. Behind the numbers are daughters, sisters, classmates, women, mothers, name them, killed simply because they are women. We are spotlighting Project Red. Niko karibu kusema lens. Anyway. Today, because my ancestors decided to come for me, we are highlighting Project Red Lipstick, a bold and apologetic campaign that's using beauty as protest of voices for power. They're here to tell us all about it, and you know, we get to have one guest every week, but today it's different. We do different every day. Niliwaambia msizoange kila siku kitu ni the same. So today I want to introduce you to a panel of 3 women, amazing women doing amazing things, but they're here to tell us all about it. So I'm going to give them a chance to be talking about what they do and who they are. So I'm not sure where to start. I'll start with the lawyer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was so random, I know,
yes.
Right?
My name is Cynthia Odongo, and I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I run my own legal practice, and I'm also a legal consultant for a few private companies in the sector. So I was approached for this campaign based on my work as a criminal lawyer in the past, and I have been able to engage a lot of women who have gone through sexual violence, gender-based violence, and have also come across a number of femicide cases. So I am very glad to be here to be discussing this topic.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. The amazing lady. I love the way umeshika nywele yako.
My name is Njeri Migwe. I work for an organization called Usikimia. Usikimia is an organization that primarily deals with cases of sexual and gender-based violence, together with femicide, which is a culmination of all those issues, sexual and gender-based violence. I am glad to be part of this campaign because everybody that knows Usikimia knows we champion against femicide. Yeah, and I'm glad to be here today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name.
Hi.
Hi, Deski.
Hi, Deski.
My name is Maureen Apondiwere. I work for an organization called Ogilvy Africa. I take care of the influence side of the business, meaning we also do advocacy. And in this case, we felt it was right to stand for a cause as an organization. Femicide was one that was in rife within the community, and so we decided to partner with Njeri through Usikimia and Joanna K Cosmetics to make sure we can be able to rally this campaign and do the right thing by society.
Amazing. It's just interesting how all of you are from, it's like, feels like a branch. Everyone from that side was championing for the same thing. Yeah. What's Project Lipstick, Red Lipstick?
Project Red Lipstick is an advocacy campaign where we are pleading to the government and to the community that femicide should be recognized as a crime, as a distinct crime in Kenya. While we know the conversion has been femicide is already a crime because it's under homicide, because of the patterns and the nature of femicide, we wanted it to stand alone as an offense, so that also women can get justice easily, the police force can be able to investigate in the right way, and the legal fraternity can be able to plug in and support the community. So that is Project Red Lipstick.
You've looked at them like you want them to add something.
Yes.
She's looked at you.
All right, since she's looked at us. The importance of the Red Lipstick campaign, first and foremost, was using the red lipstick as a symbol. because red lipstick has been used previously, even by the suffragettes when they were advocating for women to vote and for other issues that women have had to deal with. So it's a protest symbol. By wearing our red lipstick, we are out here boldly proclaiming that not only do we look good in our red lipstick, but our lips are speaking on behalf of our slain sisters. And I think it's very important to note that you're not just wearing your red lipstick, but you're standing for something. For people who are aware of the red lipstick campaign, they've been wearing it as a silent protest on behalf of the women who have been slain. And if you remember, 129 women, the police did say in March that were slain. And most of their cases have not been answered. So Project Red Lipstick aims to bring this to the forefront and to keep reminding us, even as we put on our lipstick every morning, that we still haven't gotten justice. And we are pushing forward to make sure that femicide is recognized as a distinct crime.
Amazing. You know, I'm just thinking about, we wake up every day. We don't even put so much thought into what we use as lip. Someone was telling me, Maureen, I have a red lipstick.
And the one day.
Don't worry. They're just trying to throw a jab on you. But then, you know, I'm just imagining how something as simple as lipstick, red, to be precise, can be so powerful.
Yes.
I don't know what you have to chip in on that, because my question was, why red lipstick? Why red as a symbol? And then she's expounded on why the red lipstick are notion behind it. Yes. But I feel like I want you to say something on why is it so powerful?
I believe it is powerful because the color red itself shouts. It gives or makes a particular statement. When you wear red, you're actually termed as a bold person. It is not so easy to pull off a red lip. There's so many shades of red, but it is not so easy to pull off a red lip. It is not so easy to also wear a red suit, for example. So I believe it is a symbol of power, number one. It is a symbol that shows I stand for something in a bold manner. Yes.
Amazing. What are the campaign's goal objectives? I know you've talked about femicide, making femicide become a crime, dubbed into not just become like a side way. No. She put it very nicely, that femicide is a crime, but ni kama inafunikwa na homicide, and then now it's not pronounced, it's not coming out as it should come out. So in line with that, what are the goals, what are the objectives, what do you hope to achieve with this campaign?
Well, I believe number one, it has to start with us recognizing that there is a problem in Kenya. There is a big problem in Kenya, and the rate at which women are being killed is quite alarming, even from the statistics that the police presented in March. What Njeri encounters on a daily basis is also quite perturbing, to be honest. And once we start with the recognition of femicide itself, the nature of that crime, then we can be able to move forward. Once we recognize it, then the push is to have it as a distinct crime, as Maureen has put it. Homicide is provided for under section 203 and 204 of the Penal Code. And femicide has been encapsulated within that in such a manner that we do not recognize the intricacies of that crime. This is a person who's being killed because of her gender. I am female. That is the specificity we need to approach this campaign with. We want to make sure that these perpetrators are brought to book according to how that crime is committed. They commit these crimes with such animosity. with such discrimination in the sense that you have someone basically dismembering you using your body parts. Someone goes ahead and performs necrophilia even after killing you. That is the type of animosity we want to address. We need to ensure that these perpetrators no longer see it as we will not be caught, we will not be punished. Unfortunately, under homicide, you have people being given very lenient sentences. There's no minimum sentence for homicide, but there is a maximum sentence, which is death. And post the Muruatetu case, death penalty is not mandatory anymore. So the question that I have been asked numerous times is, what are you going to do to these people? There's already a sentence, kifungo cha maisha. You can be sentenced to death. So what will act as a deterrent for you to ensure that these crimes are not perpetrated the way they are being perpetrated? So we need to make sure that the wording in that law, if we get to Parliament, the wording in that law needs to be very specific in such a manner that I would propose we have a minimum sentence for such crimes, such that if for example you commit femicide and you're found guilty, let's have a minimum sentence of 35 years. Let us have a minimum sentence of 35 years, knowing that you will lose 35 years of your life because you decided to take matters into your own hands. We are not saying that, let's say, for example, people do not disagree in a relationship. Walk away. You do not need to kill that woman. Unfortunately, also, we find children being killed. We need to take that even more seriously. We need to have very stiff penalties when it comes to such crimes against children, because it's actually become quite rampant, and I hope Njeri is going to talk about it. It's quite disheartening for us to be discussing on a daily basis that so-and-so was killed by the husband, so-and-so was killed by the grandfather, by the uncle. Unfortunately, it is people you know. It is people that are close to you. Yes.
Njeri, being at the forefront, or rather the front line of dealing with such matters, share with us a story, or rather an incident or incidences that you have had to deal with concerning this urgent issue on femicide.
Let me just start on third. Third is what, 3 days ago?
3 days ago.
Yeah, 3 days ago.
A 17-year-old got pregnant, and her mother found out. And she went and told her, and her mother said, you have to get married to the man who has impregnated you. And the girl was like, I can't get married to him, he's a violent man. This is a teenager telling her mother. I want you to first note that. Telling her mother, she already realizes and recognizes that this person is inherently violent. So the mother is like, no, I don't care. You can't be pregnant in my house. You have to go get married, bring that man here, or call him to come here so that he can come get his wife. So the man comes to the house, since he's been summoned. This is in Kayole, Nairobi. And what does he do? He stabs the girl and the mom. And the girl goes to protect her mom. And in the whole issue, he stabs the mom to death and almost nearly kills the girl. She's in hospital as we speak. The only thing that saved them is the screams, because the little sister heard the screams in the house, and he escaped.
3 days ago.
Yeah.
Like this week.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's just an incident that happens. It hasn't been published. It hasn't, nobody even knows it happened. And that is the nature of femicide. He came and killed one woman, left another dead. That is not homicide. The whole reason he killed them was what?
She was pregnant.
She was pregnant. She was a woman. That was it. That is what we're trying to tell you. That women are being killed in this country every 18 hours. A woman is dead.
1, 2, 3,
And
4,
yes,
18
every 18
hours,
not
yes.
24, every 18 hours a
So
woman
in a
is being
day?
killed. Yeah, so in every 36 hours you can count how many women have died in a cycle, in how many, and in the manner in which they're being killed. We're not saying that every woman who has been killed is a victim of homicide, is a victim of femicide. We are being very distinctive that femicide has its own parameters, that femicide has its own methodology, its own patterns. Women are being killed simply, when we say a woman is killed for being a woman, we're not saying a woman who died in an accident, a woman who, let's say somebody comes here and shoots everybody, that is femicide. No, we are saying that femicide, 75% of the women who are being killed are killed by people they know. The other 25% are killed by something that is also has a nature of sexual violence attached to it. So you're raped and killed. Okay? The other people who are killed distinctively are the elderly women. Elderly women who are mostly widows. Actually, they are all widows. That people come and declare, oh, that's a witch. Right? And then they burn them to death. This has been common. It used to be very common in Kisii and Kilifi. But now it's spread. Last year or the year before, 4 women were killed in Maranga. Same accusation that they were witches. All of them widows. All of them have land. By the virtue of being women and no one to defend them, these women were killed. And it happens more frequently than you know. Last year, 6 women were killed. Elderly women, simply because somebody branded them witches. All right? We have women being killed simply because they refuse to accept FGM. That is something that happens in this country. Yes, because FGM is rapidly making a comeback. A lot of women who refuse to be FGM'd, some of them married.
So they're still doing FGM?
Well, yes.
Interesting.
Oh, you thought it ended?
Like, no, in my mind
It's
I'm thinking,
outlawed,
because
but-
nowadays, we have not, you see, there are things that watu wameacha kuongelelea sana, so we think ziliisha.
Sasa
they are
jumuliacha
gone.
kuziongelelea, ndio maana zinaendelea.
Zinaendelea.
Because now they can thrive, because no one talks about it, because we all assumed we ended FGM. FGM is a terrible thing that goes on in this country, much more than we even want to believe. We have cases almost every other week of FGM, either attempts, and let me tell you, FGM is so normalized in this country, you didn't even believe it. So those are some of the cases. The other cases, and I will quote Gala Aden, the 17-year-old who was killed in Wajir. The only reason we know is because of the brutality of her death and the fact that it wasn't covered up. But there's so many Gala Adens who are killed because they did not honor their marriage commitment. What reason did Gala die? She was a woman. She was killed because she said no to being married to an older man. May she rest in paradise. And I can give you so many, many incidents I can talk about. And I always quote that case because it really, really hurts my spirit. Mary Wamboi, 9-year-old, she was killed in 2021 by her 2 neighbors, a 33 and a 36-year-old man at that point. They raped and killed and left her under a bed, okay? And that's just the 9-year-old. I can quote you Masha Masheshe. She was 7, killed and left on a roof. I mean, there's so many distinct cases. Those are children. I can talk about Aisha. She was 4 days old, raped, died in my arms by her father. Yes. So when we say that this...
What is the world turning into?
Yes, so when we say...
We don't know.
To go and...
When we talk about this, we are talking about women who are being killed. We can talk about the teacher who was killed last week. She was a literature teacher, killed by her husband in front of her children in Bomet, Sotik. So many women, so many names. I can talk about Kemunto, Kemi. She was a security guard here at the Bell-Bottom Towers at Cooperative Building. She was killed by her husband. Their names,
Kemunto
their
was
people.
just last week.
Yes, their people, they existed. And we are tired of counting dead women. We want justice. We want them to matter. This is important. That's why we're here today.
You've said that, and I've just been reminded of the hashtag Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
You know, I'm just like, women lives matter.
It's true.
You know, that's just what is ringing in my head. Like, I'm just hearing it. You know, it's one thing to read the 1 to 3 stories we see online, and it's another thing to hear someone quote like over 10 names of people she has actually interacted with, primarily or secondarily, whichever. But I am just like, wait, a lot is happening.
You know,
Like, I'm shook.
Unfortunately, as you say that, there are people who are callous enough to say to us that whatever we are pushing is discriminatory.
Yeah.
After hearing what Jerry has just said,
Yeah.
are you still going to say that we are discriminating? No, it's not.
And I think also that brings up the cultural reality that we live in as Kenyans. I'm sure many women, you know, before they leave their house, they map out the route they are using to reduce harassment.
Yes.
Right? You've thought about having a drink in a bar and hoping no one drugs you or takes advantage of you when you're drunk. Girls go out in groups, and I'll tell Njeri, you're the designated sober one. So that I can have fun, she can have fun, but we have to be safe. We send out our children to school. I look at how my daughter looks repeatedly to make sure that nothing will attract attention. It's not attention from women, it's from men. And she's aware, so she also you've been told, kaa vizuri kama msichana, you know. You've been told, ungetembea usiku. You've been told, mbona ulicheka na yeye. You've been told, mbona ulikula hiyo lunch. Someone bought you food. Kumbe it was attached to your life. And women have to navigate those conversations. If a guy gets too friendly, when we push back, they get aggressive. We become friendly just to survive that moment and be like, okay, tucheke. This will take 30 minutes. Ataniacha, kisha niende kule nilikuwa naenda.
We
do that.
Umekana mtu kwa mat, but then because amekongelesha, and then ukolek ni kama inaanza kukani kama ni too personal, and you start being nice, start being friendly
to survive it.
I'm just thinking about it like, yo, these are things we do every day.
Yeah. And that is the life of a woman in Kenya. Now imagine a woman in Mashinani. I come from Western, where the more your husband is aggressive with you, the more he's expressing love. Yet in the city, I know that is a recipe for femicide. This woman will be killed one day,
and just so
when
that
she
you
can't
know
take violence anymore.
That there in Western, we have the highest rates of femicide also.
Because we've normalized violence with love. So kama hanipigi kofi nikimbo, hanipendi. So women stay in dangerous situations because our culture is also creating these normalized behaviors. How many times in an office do you keep your opinion to yourself as a woman to avoid being corporate violence? Which is not, they won't beat you, but they will treat you a certain way. So women are every sector. Ata msichana wa M-Pesa, a female makanga, I can imagine the experiences. A woman in the street selling food, a woman in an office, we have the same problem. Even if I'm driving, the woman walking on the street will probably experience the same thing I go through. We have all experienced some level of violence. Children are victims. How does a man look at a 4-month-old baby?
4 days.
4
Sexually.
days.
4 days.
Oh my God!
If you've held a baby in your hands, it is impossible to look at them in some way.
And just so that you know, we have normalized raping babies.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that this week, a man again in Rift Valley raped a 1-year-old baby. It was in the papers. And also, just to be here and just to make something clear, the Mercy pardoned a 77-year-old man who had raped a 4-year-old.
He's part of the group that was released back into society.
But back into society. He served.
Do you know the sentence he was given? 14 years.
So let me ask you a question. A layman stupid question that I've always had. Now that I have a lawyer, I can confirm. Nilisikia prison sentences in account yangu, mchana ni siku moja, usiku ni siku ingine. Like, how are they counted? Like someone ever mentioned it and said, the day I'll meet a lawyer, I'll ask them. Because someone says, if it's 14 years, even Kumanisha is only 7 years.
7 years.
No.
Oh, thank God.
I know, right?
Because I was about to
I was about to get shocked.
A day is a day.
A day is a day.
A day is a day.
Okay.
Notwithstanding the type of environment or routine they are accustomed to, because by saa tano wanafaa kuwa wamekula lunch, by saa 8 wamekula sapa, wameingia, wamehesabiwa, na irudishwa ndani tena.
Okay.
So a day is a day, 24 hours.
Okay.
But the problem we have is, yes, we do have judicial discretion such that a judge may decide what sentence to give you, depending on how, number one, you conducted yourself during that trial, if there was a trial, if you confessed. They also look at the circumstances surrounding that crime. Probably the length at which you went to cover up the crime, for example, the brutality. Although, unfortunately, there are quite a number of cases that I have come across where the crime was so brutal, but the sentence given, it was not proportionate to that crime. Honestly, in all fairness, we need to assess our sentencing guidelines. We need to assess our policy, regulatory, and legal framework, and take into account all the intricacies of femicide, because without doing that, we will still have floodgates open, because we are not addressing the issue, honestly. If we have a minimum sentence, for example, and a maximum sentence, that will act as a deterrent, and it has been successfully done in Costa Rica.
Yes.
Since 2007. They have been able to reduce the number of femicide cases in that country significantly. Mexico tried, but because of the issues that I'm talking about, they were not specific as to what femicide is. It is not just killing any woman. It is killing a woman or a girl because she is female. It is. It also involves the interplay, the asymmetrical power dimensions of a relationship between a man and a woman. And by relationship here, I'm not speaking about romantic relationships alone. Work relationships as well. Even just with a passerby. I mean, you interact with people on a daily basis. So with that, we want to ensure that these crimes are framed in the penalties, and the description of the crime is framed in such a way that if you bring such a case to a prosecutor and an investigating officer, he will be pushed to look for these minor details that are not contained within the homicide purview. You will have to look at, okay, he went and raped this little girl. He went and dismembered her, took her breasts, for example. You remember what was happening at TRM with these Nigerians? And sorry to say, by the way, we are encouraging foreigners also to come and do this in Kenya. I have been faced with a case a few years ago. A lady came to my office crying, saying that she had been assaulted by a foreigner. She went and reported, but the police took no action because, I mean, he had the money to buy his way out of that conundrum. Yes. And as long as we continue encouraging these types of acts, we will keep burying our friends, our mothers, our sisters, our small daughters. We have... I know it is a very heavy... Whatever Njeri does, honestly, to me, I get very few cases of such nature and magnitude. Njeri goes through a lot. She sees them on a daily basis. And you can imagine that not all are reported. She's not dealing with all the cases.
No.
As she has said, in Western, ukienda
the ones that are reported to us.
Mama nimepigwa na my husband. You'll be told, go back. Hiyo ndio ndoa, vumilia.
What our mothers always told us.
Yes, you'll always be told, vumilia. And unfortunately, it's quite sad that you'd see your own daughter being defiled and keep quiet and defend your husband. So many cases have unraveled before my eyes one time when I was at, during my attachment, at the judiciary. We went to the magistrate chambers and a little girl had been defiled by the father. And she had been coached by the mother so well. And even us as students, we could tell that this girl was coached. And the magistrate and the prosecutor had to change their tactic of questioning this girl in order to get the truth.
So the mother had coached her not to say...
Yes, not to say that it is the dad who had defiled her.
Yeah.
So who would it be? Why?
So even the person who's supposed to protect you.
Yes, is not protecting you. Unfortunately, when we asked the mother, because when the proceedings were over, the magistrate we were dealing with was a lady, and she asked her, why are you encouraging this type of behavior from your husband? And you know what she said? Yeye ndiye analipia nyumba.
Yes. I wanted to come there.
Yes. Yeye ndiye analipia nyumba. Yeye ndiye anatulisha. Yeye ndiye... I mean...
Situlale njaa tukufe.
I want you to know that that is very normal behavior.
Yes.
That is something
That's the next thing I wanted to ask.
That is very normalized behavior in this country. Because on this Saturday meeting, after the meeting, you know, we normally have Saturday meetings with women in the area that I work with. It's called Empower Mama, the program. And so as we are talking, you know, we are talking about defilement because every Saturday we tackle different topics. So last Saturday was defilement. So as I'm leaving the meeting, one of the CHPs, that's the community health promoters, came and told me there's a woman here who wants to speak to you. And so we sat on the grass and I wanted to listen to her. And she told me, Njeri, we have a problem. There's this woman, her firstborn daughter was defiled by the dad. But watu waliongea and she was paid 7,000 by the man through the baraza to not talk about it. But now he's raped the other daughter. Okay? So she's been raped 4 times because defilement is rape. I don't even like the word defilement. I always feel like it doesn't capture how the intensity. Because when you think about defilement, it's like soiling. I know that, but I feel like it doesn't do justice. Because I feel like what happens to children is even worse than what happens to adults. And when you really look at the genesis of the word defilement, when you think about defilement, you think about something that has been soiled. Yeah. We need a bigger word. Anyway, story for another day. So this is a man who was covered the first time and he knew, oh, I can get away by paying 7,000. Yes. Now I'm coming for the other children. And the amount of cover-ups that we deal with when it comes to children being defiled by their parents is too much. By their fathers, their stepfathers, by their uncles, their brothers. It's always something that we feel like shame accompanies me. If my husband rapes my daughter, I promise you, it is not me. It is not him who's going to be in prison. One of us is going to be in prison, and I promise you,
It is
not him.
It is not.
Because he will not be here. Because a lot of times that is what happens. It's not reported, and when it is reported, a committee meets, wazee wanakaa chini, and they decide 7,000 is enough to cover the crime. And then the woman has the, the temerity to tell you, he pays school fees, he pays rent, what do you want me to do? I don't know what we are going to do, but can we first deal with this person?
Yes.
Yes.
Unaona? So that is how we have normalized violence against women and girls. It's so common and it is so normalized, even by us women.
It starts with the culture in the communities.
It starts with the culture.
It is the
and
culture.
the sad thing, if we don't check what is happening with women, the boys are starting to be defiled also.
Yes.
So the entire fabric of community is being undone. We are saying, oh, it's women discriminatory and mambo yao, but eventually our little boys, Jerry gets cases, a small boy has been defiled. You wonder, where does it stop? Where do we start saying crimes against women, children, so that every other community person, disabled people, I do not even want to imagine their stories. But imagine a disabled woman being defiled. Where does she go?
And they do.
And
I hope that you
unfortunately,
know
they don't
that they are
have-
disproportionately affected by all the issues that we are talking about.
Yeah.
And not even being able to report because we don't even make, places and chances for people
to
like
speak
that
up.
to be able to speak up.
Yeah.
So how do we even help women? Because now I'm imagining that kuna ipat, we are dealing with women who don't also want to come out. Women who are afraid to speak up. Women who are okay hiding because they want to cover up the name of the family. There are very many, for me I'd call them petty reasons why we want to cover up femicide. Even as women, sisi wenyewe tu, the stories we're hearing here. How do we help women come out from that shell? How do we help women speak up more? Because I'm just here shivering, like,
Number one, we need to empower each other. There's a case I came across last week, and the lady said, and she was beaten black and blue, but she said, nikitoka, ataenda atafute mwanamke mwingine.
Hey, bro.
I mean, that's
your worry.
Yes, that was her issue. And people in the comment section were
Very confused.
They were very angry because do you really value your life? Do we have value for ourselves? We need to empower each other. We need to also value ourselves. You need to ensure that the moment that man hits you once, walk out.
I have a problem with the fact that we say we need to value ourselves because society has placed such a premium
Value
On us.
men.
on marriage and being married.
Yes.
Like there is a certain level of respect you
get
are
when
accorded when you're
when you're
married
married,
vis-a-vis
yes.
when you're not married. There is a certain level of disrespect you get when you're a single mom.
It's true.
I mean, there are schools that cannot even take children of single moms.
Yes.
Yes.
That is discriminatory practices. Yes, and we know this.
Vitu mingi zinafanyika hii Kenya bana.
So,
I'm wondering, am I Kenyan?
how do we treat? You see, the reason I will stay in a bad marriage is because I'm afraid of being called a single mom, because of the stigma that is attached to being a single mom. So when you're telling this woman to leave, unamwambia ende akuwe single mom. She's going to become a single mom, and then she's going to be treated differently by community, by society, by everybody. So that becomes the number one problem.
Yes.
How we stigmatize single moms, the parent that stayed, how we stigmatize divorced women,
Yes.
never divorced man, because divorced men are actually a premium.
Yes.
You know,
They are
how we stigmatized widowed. We've even looked, when we were talking about it, we've looked at the fact that being a widow can also be a death sentence.
It is.
Yeah.
So what are we saying? We're saying that women, it doesn't matter. The only kind of protected woman in society is a married woman.
Yeah.
So that puts marriage as an achievement, and it makes marriage, it makes marriage to be something that is desirable, and it should be. However, even within the confines of marriage, does not mean you're protected. It just means that because you're married, you're treated better in society. So that is maybe some of the culture that we should, change. The woman that her daughter was killed was telling her daughter to go and get married to a violent man because she did not want the embarrassment of having a teenage pregnant
Teenage
child.
girl. Yeah.
And what, So are we looking at how we have made it that we are pushing you out? So one of the things we need to do, even the government itself, is number one, have a conversation. Have a campaign. And not just a campaign, a robust campaign.
Sensitization.
That it sensitizes people about gender-based violence. Exactly. All the way to the grassroots. It should be at the village barazas. It should be at the shopping center. It should be on top of radios.
In the saloon.
It should be on saloons. It should be on social media. Everywhere. Every communication that is possible. Billboards, churches, everywhere. The conversation about gender-based violence, this country is so rampant. Our numbers are crazy. So what if we started I remember when there used to be a very robust, even the president, that time was Kibaki, was involved in the HIV campaign. And it was so robust that,
prevalence actually
went down.
ARVs
Do you see?
access was higher.
The first lady ensured that Kenyans got free ARVs. And we need to rightfully say who brought free ARVs into this country. And it was Lucy Kibaki. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying a campaign that is so targeted that it changes the culture. Because our first biggest problem is the culture. Mambo ya watu wawili wamejifunika.
Blanketi moja wachana nayo.
Do you start to see the normalization, the cultural, thing that it's not our problem. Until the woman dies and then we're like, by God, alikuwa namchapanga, nilikuwa nasikia nduru.
Nilikuwa naonanga tu, ni kama kuna kitu haiko sawa.
Exactly. So if we could start by that.
Stop distancing yourself from those crimes. If they happen around you, discourage them. Men, you are discussing what people talk about in their WhatsApp groups. This should be one of the things you talk about in the WhatsApp groups. If you find your friend is abusing the wife, do not encourage him.
Tell them off.
Yes, this is something that should be discouraged from the grassroots, as she says. We need to take care of ourselves and each other. Be your brother's keeper. I cannot see Grace here being battered and keep quiet. I know very many people term me as combative, but let me be combative. I will continue to fight. And for me, I will not relent. I will continue to drive our mission. And that is end femicide and make it a crime, a distinct crime from homicide. Because if we do not deal with this, we are going to be grappling with very crazy numbers. And right now, we are already at dangerous levels, and yet we are dealing with issues of misreporting and unreporting. It's the same issue that is going on in Mexico. They did legislate femicide as a law, but the problem was the classification of that crime. The problem was the underreporting and the misreporting.
Wow. Do you know who else also did a femicide law?
Yes.
Argentina.
Argentina.
It was so successful,
they're
thinking of scrapping it off. Because it succeeded.
It succeeded.
The numbers have
the numbers went down.
It's no longer required as a law on its own.
So what are we waiting for? That is the question. What are we waiting for? And why haven't we seen a problem? Or why don't we see a problem?
And I think the
because majority of men you talk to, they are so combative in such a manner that, I have to direct them to the Constitution and tell them this law, it is not discriminatory. I can tell you for a fact, under Article 21.3, we are a protected group. So we are a vulnerable group. We are classified as a vulnerable group under Article 21.3.
Hey, I'm being told time is up. I'm wondering how do I even conclude this conversation, my
So
God.
maybe before you conclude, I think the biggest, the culminative action we are driving right now, we've been signing a petition. We need to get to 100,000. Currently we are at around 78,000 signatures from Kenyans, men and women, Let's cross over to the 100,000 mark. That allows us to go to the floor of parliament and challenge our lawmakers to include this in the law. Without that, we are just going to keep crying and sharing stories. But the law can govern culture. We can start from the place where the law says, if this happens, then this happens. We need to get there first. And then the conversations continue. The government comes in, runs the campaign. GBV is something we talk about. But let's legislate first. By signing the petition, we get to 100,000 as a community in Kenya. Get it as a law into parliament. Make sure that the women are protected. If we can protect women, we can protect every other group that exists in Kenya.
Yeah. So tuko 40 million hivi plus 47 tuko almost 50 I think at a side. If we remove minus, we say at least 30 million.
Yes.
So if we can get 100,000 is
very little.
We come and drop in the ocean.
Yes.
Let's get those signatures. The stories I've had here, my God.
Pole.
My whole body is. I'm just. Why? Like, why are people doing this?
We shouldn't.
Start by signing.
Yes.
Sign the petition. All of
The petition is at usikimie.org.
Yes.
The petition is on Ogilvy Africa, usikimie.org, and Joanna K. Instagram bios.
Yes.
You will find it on our Twitter bio. The petition is out there. We only need 22,000 more signatures to make this a reality. And I believe I have 10 people, and I'm not leaving this room until all 10 of you have signed.
You have mine, and
that is how you make a difference.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it is up to you to be counted. And it is sad for me that many men come and tell me my sister was killed. That is when we want to do something about
unfortunately,
it.
we react. Once it has happened, we've had a culture of we react to something when it happens to us. Do not wait for that to happen to you.
I think I want to ask each of you one question as we wind up, so that as you answer your question, you give me your final remarks, because I'm wondering, should we have a part 2 of this conversation? Because I feel like hata tumeongea a quarter of the conversation.
We've only scratched the surface.
Like, I just feel like we were just getting at the climax. I'm like, can we have a part 2? We will talk behind the scenes with the director and producer to see if it's possible.
Yeah.
But I'm just what does a safer, more just Kenya look like for you?
Wow. In this,
please help me with that camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
In this context, a safer, more just Kenya looks like every single Kenyan acknowledging that we have a problem. Women and young girls are dying. We have a 4-year-old having been raped, a 4-day-old having been raped. We need to take action. We need to take this with the seriousness, the magnitude that it deserves. And we need to ensure that whatever steps we take to codify this femicide campaign into law will be able to take care of all the intricacies of that crime. That is a just Kenya for me.
Thank you. Jerry. Hey, you're so calm, you're so... no one would think you deal with such things with the level of calmness you have. What message would you want to leave with a young woman, a mother, a sister, a lady, even a man watching you this day?
Imagine we can end gender-based violence in this country. The onus is on us. It is up to us to change how we look at things, how we resolve. And to young women, I'm going to ask you, when you go on these dates, find out what conflict language we speak. I know we all love language. What about conflict language? Do you know how you resolve issues yourself? And then when you partner with somebody, do you know how they do their conflict resolution? I think it's important to look at that, to examine that. And even us as a society, how do we resolve conflict? If you don't beat your boss, why do you go home and beat your wife? If you don't beat your teacher, why are you going home to beat the other people who are more vulnerable than you? Why do we mistreat people who are more vulnerable than us? You know, even, you know, every person knows the person who's more disadvantaged than them. So then you go and take your frustrations out from that person. It's the onus of us just creating a safer, better Kenya starts with us. And it changes today. How do you resolve conflict moving forward? Change, or we will all perish. Thank you.
Oof. Finally, my desk.
After this, after that.
What one small act of courage can this society, despite the age, background, gender, take as part of stopping femicide?
I think it's
At least finally, you can use your camera.
okay. I think it's standing for something. I always sense that as Kenyans we sway with what's popular, with what's in, what's being talked about. Stand for something. Often you realize when you stand for something, you have to look in the mirror. Unajiangalia, you see the things that you're capable of, and you're able to see that in other people. And whether you're old, if you're a woman enabling abuse, if you look in the mirror long enough to stand for something, you'll realize this is actually abuse and I should stop. So Kenyans, we need to stand for something. Currently we are moving towards the standing for something. I can see what we are doing towards every other thing happening. But on gender-based issues, we are not standing for something. We believe the convenience of I want to be popular, so I will mistreat women, or I don't want to be alone, so I will allow abuse as a woman, or I want to get to, there's a means to an end in what you stand for. So let's stand for something. And the moment we stand for something, like I stand for this, because even if you were to shout at me in the streets about femicide, I will shout back and tell you what it means to stop it, and gender-based violence, and bad relationships, and bad culture. So stand for something. Be brave. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, I didn't know what I was signing up for today.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you. Personally, if you ask me, we need to have a part 2 of this conversation, because we've not even talked about
a lot.
nimechoka tu. Like,
Sorry.
I'm just tired.
We are very sorry, but
Thank you.
unfortunately
It's
we
okay.
have to talk about
I
it.
know. Thank you. Thank
And
you.
as, yeah, just know that there's a lot of women behind this. So at
Yes.
Okichoka, there are those ones who will keep marching
We'll
and
keep
doing it.
Pushing.
Do we have a hashtag on Twitter?
Yes, hashtag make femicide a crime and hashtag end femicide.
All right.
Those are the
Umesikia.
best ones to use. So
And sign the petition.
And sign the petition.
Sign the petition. Hashtag make femicide a crime and hashtag
end
End
femicide.
end
KE.
femicide. I think to may agree, we are so many. 100K is just a drop in the ocean. Please sign the petition. Women don't deserve to die for being women. We can stand up to a better Kenya. It's so heartbreaking to hear the stories this morning. I just kept shivering. I couldn't stay still because my heart was breaking at every single story. There's someone who told me, better carry the shame while you're still standing than carry it in the grief. And I'll leave you with that. Tumeambiwa vitu mingi this morning, but stand up and say something. Be strong. Don't let it starts from, Njeri has put it so well, inaanza tu hapo kwa hao hapo tu, like say no. They're trying to raise their voice at you because it starts like that. Tell them, if you can't talk to me respectfully, we are not having a conversation. It starts as early as saying usiniongeleshe hivyo, by the way, before they start pointing you, and then the next thing you're 6 feet under. I want to believe that we will have a part 2 of this conversation. So that's why I do not want to say we have wrapped it up. I'll leave you at that. I'm paving way for Val to come back with our question of the day. Please go on our social media handles and check Facebook, Instagram, and X at Y254 channel. Until next time, bye.